think everyone has been shocked at some of the power, at least stories we're hearing, demand stories for AI.
Yeah.
I will tell you from some of the companies that I work with, I have just been like, flabbergasted to the point where I've never seen anything like this in my entire life, where it's like, I've seen things like 50x, real fucking fast.
Yeah.
And, you see all these stories. You read my paper, and there's so many examples of there. Zuck saying he's going to throw down hundreds of billions of dollars. Elon, who I would never shade that guy, saying he's going to build a terawatt, which I'm all for, baby. Let's get to terawatt-scale grids, type 1 civilization, here we come. Anthropic calling for the more conservative 50 gigawatts of new generation for their load. But anyways, you have all these AI labs, not to mention China, in breakneck competition. And when I see all of this, one stat that stuck with me is in ERCOT, in Texas's grid. My understanding is peak load there is about 80 gigawatts. So for those of you listening, that's when everyone's running their AC and all the smelters are smelting, the whole population. Everybody, 80 gigawatts. Okay. And that right now for data centers is over 130 gigawatts asking to get built. I understand not everyone's going to do it. I understand there's games to get in the queue, but whatever. The point is there's a multiple of the humans already being asked to be built for the data centers. So, on the one hand, meanwhile, in China, they're building solar like crazy. They're set to dwarf us in terms of, in the next 3 years, they'll put more solar on the ground, generation capacity than we have in our entire grid today. Okay, that's pretty crazy. And so you see all these things playing out, and there are people saying, well, we can do certain things like make the data centers responsive. Great. Maybe that frees up, tens of gigawatts of additional capacity. Cool. You see people saying things like, oh, we need to slash regulations. Maybe one day the government will even start eminent domaining if it becomes like a race with China. Okay, all those things. But at some point, I've gotten to the point, and please tell me what your reaction to this is, where even if we get rid of a lot of the regulations, even if we streamline getting, more solar built, more load interconnected, it looks like, to your point, the grid is so old in so many places and so dated. I'm very skeptical that if we wanted to scale it to a multi-terawatt scale grid today, that it's even possible. And so number one, I'm curious if you agree with that take or not. And then number two, I'm starting to see more and more calls for people say, okay, fuck it. If it's going to take 5 years to get either our generation or storage capacity or our load interconnected, we're just going to go off grid. And if we can, get a big enough off taker, like I saw, reports of Intersect doing 1 and 3 gigawatt scale projects, mostly solar and storage with a little bit of nat gas as backup for Google, then okay, why wait around for the grid? What's your reaction to all of that?
I guess, I would say
a lot in there.
There's a lot in there.
Yeah.
And I think we might want to actually identify what we're trying to do today with this conversation.
Please. Yes.
Are we trying to change your mind? Are we trying to forecast what's going to come?
Yeah.
I think it'd be good to set that tone for the audience.
Well, number one, I would like to find the truth. What's real, what's hype, and then your best guess at forecasting.
So I think in terms of the AI load, right? Everybody got caught off guard, right? Including, I would say, Elon himself. He's like, oh shit, I'm behind in this game.
Which I've never seen that.
Right?
Elon's never behind, right?
And then he comes back from behind, builds out Grok and XAI, and they deploy, it's called Colossus or something.
In Memphis, my hometown.
Memphis? Oh, is it? Is that right?
Do it for the M, baby.
And they got that done in 122 days, which is shockingly fast.
Yeah, I didn't know that was possible.
A data center, you talk to anybody in the development side, it's 18 months to build it. That's as fast as they can do it, right? Like the pros in the game that they claim to go around, take VC money, you say, we'll build it for you 18 months. And I've supported 2 data center developments in Colorado. So I've had these conversations with these people. But Elon builds it in 122 days. Who knows how many rules they broke, laws they broke, codes they violated. The whole thing is powered by nat gas, I believe, right now, before they get a grid connection. So, hell or high water, the guy builds it, right? So that's just to speak to this surprise of oh shit, I'm behind, I gotta do this. And now these are the big names that we know because it's, in the media and it's, clickbaity for all of us. But, there's a whole cohort of people trying to rush and figure out to be the first player, the one that scales the fastest and gets the most eyeballs. I don't know how much you play with AI agents and tools. Every day there's 10 new ones coming out. It's an exhaustive list.
I use Grok a lot as a research assistant.
I use a number of them, and I tested a bunch of them. There's also a lot of diminishing results with my time. Like I get that I can have agents do stuff for me, and I'm that guy. Like Sunday morning, I'm in bed and I'm talking to Michelle, and I've got a job on this one.
Probably going to talk to the wife more.
A job on the other one. I'm like, I'm out of ideas of how many jobs I can run, right?
I swear Annie's just helping me with something new.
Like the other day I had this idea. I was like, can I go buy a wastewater plant in California and take it private, like a public one? And
could you?
This? And I was like, I had like AI do this research. I was like, research this, research the laws, give me case examples, like blah, blah. So I have one agent doing this. I have another one doing another one. At some point, you're like, okay, like, you can't have so many like apps open. It needs agents. That's a cool name for apps. So I think at some point, clear players will dominate and will have like, their specialty, and you'll go to that for what they do. So just like the .com boom, any other boom, there will be, there's a hype right now of how many of these data centers we need, how many companies will actually survive. At some point, the music will stop, and some investors will realize, oh yeah, they're not going to get their money back because everybody's competing for the next freest, cheapest AI tool, and
society benefits, just like we do with the fiber build out.
Yeah, I mean, like, people will want it, and they'll find a way to make ad revenue off of it or something, and at some point,
why is it?
The investors will want free cash flow.
To be clear, I mean from the infrastructure, the ad-supported business models, society will not benefit from.
But that's how we fund stuff, right? At least in the U.S. I don't know how they pay for stuff in China, but that is how it's going to happen here, right? So there's a massive like pent-up demand of who gets there first, who gets to scale first, right? Because the notion of to get there first is usually wrong, right? Especially in Silicon Valley, it's like the first to scale, the first to build distribution. So however big the problem is now, I think there's probably some course correction on that to come, right? And it will fizzle down, and it will get even bigger than what we ever thought, right? Just like solar, just like internet. Like there's a crazy hype down, and then it will slowly build up properly. So we are in the first hype. And then can we actually build it? No. Like you just can't. And this isn't like a, headline news. This is, I have talked to the utility that, again, for these two data center projects I was supporting. And we needed, for the first phase of the build out, we needed 300 megawatt connection. And the guy laughed on the phone with us. Right? He's like,
always a good sign.
He's like, I can give you 25 to start, right? You guys can self-generate behind the meter, don't export. I don't care. And over the next 10 years, we'll figure out how to get you to 300 megawatts. And then more. Meanwhile, on this property, this is like a massive land that started with a big solar battery development. And then the data center came in, and now it's like a data center development on top of solar and battery development. It's an area in Colorado where coal plants are retiring. So there's power needs. There's a whole bunch of things going on. And immediately went from like, a 300 megawatt data center is pretty cool and exciting. But as you talk to data center developers, some of our friends are like,
3 gigawatt.
Can you give me 1.2? Like, could that be phase 1 of 4? And this is last year. So I'm sure right now it would be like 3 gigawatts, right? Even more. And like the grid cannot actually give you the infrastructure to get the power through it. So you're going to be in a waiting game until, it takes like a, World War II, workforce development to go build out grid infrastructure, power plants. Meanwhile, capital is not patient. We're not just competing internally with, ourselves. There's like, to your point, China is also building this stuff out. So, can we ban Chinese AI tools? Can we ban other stuff from China, right? Maybe we'll have our own AI and we'll live here, and that's okay, whatever the rest of the world happens. But that macro level of geopolitical side of it is a whole other conversation to have. But within the US itself, within our own boundaries, electricity and water for these data centers are key issues. Many of them I have seen deals get done on purely off-grid data centers. PPAs get signed, like power purchase agreements get signed to power a data center, and that data center is okay with that, like off-grid power,
right?
Because what they're selling, the watts they're selling, the GPUs they're selling to the people that are buying that training, capacity, they're okay with the level of flexibility that data center is giving them.
Right.
And the other big overhype is, which a lot of colleagues on Twitter are helping dismantle, is the notion that data centers have to be 24/7 uptime.
I've seen a lot of
and we must power them with nukes. Like, no, they don't have to be 24/7 uptime. And I think you and I both know data center operators are like, we'll take 70% and we'll be flexible.
Yeah.
Because the value of, again, whatever you get, right? The dollar per watt is much higher than the dollar per kilowatt hour you're paying to get it.
Totally.
And it's not worth that extra 30% uptime.
Totally. And so it seems to me, like, number one, for the big hyperscalers, they're almost cost insensitive at this point, and it's just more about speed. And if it really is about speed, and sure, maybe off-grid's a little bit more expensive initially, but again, solar battery learning curves, the more we deploy, the cheaper it gets. So eventually that gets cheaper and cheaper. But if they're like, okay, my options are, whatever, I wait 5 years to pay, 7 cents a kilowatt hour or 40 in California. I guess they're probably not building in California. Or I, whatever, pay double what I would pay, but I get it built in under 12 months or under 18 months if I'm not Elon. I'm going with the second option because in the meantime, like to your point, I can make I'm leaving so much money on the table if I don't get that built. So if that's the case, my biggest question that I have is, and I guess maybe the Intersect Google deals, and Elon recently announced that they're building a solar campus next to Colossus, which makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Why hasn't this happened already? Did you see that there was that off-grid paper last year? Some of the DER guys and a few others.
Yeah, Duncan, those guys from
Task
Force, yeah. Off-grid AI, yeah.
And I've
that's that model. It's gas, solar, battery.
Yeah, although to be clear, some guys and they were saying forget the gas. Like that was the contrarian opinion. But sure, whatever. Assume a little bit of gas. In those models, like I was playing the numbers and it does pencil. And so my big question is, why hasn't this happened already? Like, why aren't we seeing Google, Amazon, Facebook, all these guys doing whatever? If they want a 10 gigawatt site, maybe that's crazy to start, but like, okay, cool, we'll pay whatever it is, just build it.
I mean, I would say it is happening. Like Colossus is all nat gas. Yeah. Like that whole thing is natural gas power. It's polluting the air. It's bad for the environment, bad for the local population. For however long they're going to let it run.
Right.
I think that's a decision for, again, that the people in that area to decide. But there is a lot of gas power generators going in.
Yep. But why not solar and storage with it? I mean, I guess Elon's a little bit now, but
I mean, that's a good question for, you label me a solar maxi, which we'll come back to in a moment. Well, like even like the biggest solar maxi of all, Elon, right, isn't powering his data centers with solar because it's not quite there yet.
Why?
I mean, space, timeline, it's much faster for him to go find, 30 or 40 generators, plug those in, get power up as much as he could, crank those things out, to catch up, right? He's like looking for a pinch hitter, right? This is what he's solving for right now. A year from now, probably, right? We'll have more of that getting done. And it's of course like solar development is, I wish it was just about, physics and finance, but there's also a lot of policy and like investment tax credit, and there's like
land rights.
There's a whole bunch of other stuff tied to it that makes it complicated. But if you've got, a building and you're tight for space, you will put a generator behind it.
Yeah.
One thing that I think is also going to change, right, is in the power industry, I would say if you look at like the generation of independent power producers, people that have been in the business of either investing in power plants or state regulators or state agencies that commission power plants to get built, there's always a fear, and people have had this fear for many, many decades, and it's going to take a long time for it to wash away and get forgotten, which is the fear of stranded assets.
Yeah.
If you zoom out we've had this electric grid for 100 years or so, right? Most of that, probably 99 years of that, has been stranded fear of like, we overbuilt.
Yep.
Hydro, coal, nat gas, poles and wires, right? I mean, building transmission lines, you inherently build it for a stranded purpose because you build it for the peak capacity, right?
Yeah.
Like Texas's grid is at 86 gigawatt right now, but that's only happens like, one time in a year.
Exactly.
It's pushing up against that more and more, but most of that grid is stranded, is underutilized, right? Yeah. Why hasn't Africa been electrified? Because of the fear of concerns of all the stranded generation that have been there. Our buddy Eric's company, like they're going and picking up stranded hydro assets and they are repowering them with Bitcoin mining because now they're giving them a reason to get powered up because the villages did not electrify. People could not actually buy that power. And companies like Mitsubishi that makes generators, right, as a manufacturer, they have to hard tool, invest in order to build gas generators, turbines, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they have to meet like contracts that are, multi-year long. And but the whole industry of power generation has been living with the fear of like, go slow because electricity rate growth has been, maybe 2%, maybe 0, maybe flat. We did energy efficiency from the 70s, when we had the energy crisis then. But we're actually trying to like get off using more. Like we're in the conservation mode, which we're turning that around now. So culturally, the people that have been doing this stuff, right? Gen Xers, let's call them, and boomers, they've been doing it on like, be careful, don't overinvest, don't go fast. Now it's like, we need the other attitude. We need the wartime attitude. We need like the Elon Musk type. Oh my God, I have to build Colossus in 122 days so I can catch up with Sam Altman. Otherwise, I have nothing to play in this game, right? So we are in that like, disaster mode right now. We got to catch up. And so what's going to change is, and I think I said Mitsubishi because I think I saw an announcement by them. They're like now leaning in heavy in building a lot of gas turbines.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Because like they want, they see customers and they're like, whoever can sell the next generator, they will find a customer. They will get that.
But to be clear, and another point for the audience as well to realize, even if you wanted to go full Elon to get started and just put up a whole bunch of like gas turbines, like the other point you're making with the Mitsubishi thing is the gas turbines, like the transformers, you can't get them.
No, I mean, there's a backlog, right? Like everything is backlogged.
Everything is backlogged.
Yeah, everything's backlogged. It is hard to get anything right now.